Hey guys. Okay. Bye, princess. Okay. So for those of you that follow us on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, you may notice that I am in Gatsby's big tank right now. The reason he's not in here is because we put the doors on. You know, we finished it all, we put the doors on, and then my husband could fit his hand in between the doors, like where they overlap. And that obviously wouldn't work because if he can fit his hand through, Gatsby can get through. And you know, we want our animals to stay safe and all that. So we postponed it for a day, and then we got these like pool noodle type of things from Home Depot and stuck them onto the glass so that here's Joanna trying to swim. But so we put these pool noodle type things on the glass in between the doors so that it would close that gap. And we couldn't stick our hands through it anymore or whatever. And so we're like, okay, Gatsby's good. Gatsby can go in there. Cool, it's ready. And lo and behold, Gatsby maneuvered his way through. You know, as I'm sure you guys understand, snakes can fit through almost anything and just kind of do them. You know, they don't really follow the laws of physics, right? And so he was on his shelf, one of his shelves, the one that my computer's on right now, and he decided he wanted to go onto the higher shelf that he's not big enough to get to by himself yet. So we saw the coolest thing we've ever seen ever. He vertically climbed the closet doors, which, you know, we've seen reticulated pythons climb like trees and stuff like that on like documentaries and on TV or whatever. And so like it's possible, you know, but we never thought that Gatsby would do that because he's so like not wild. You know, we never thought that he would just kind of know how to climb vertically without like anything, like on a smooth surface. It was crazy. We just sat there and like watched him climb all slowly, and like the biggest part of him, which is like this big, and it's probably like that big, could fit through the doors. And keep in mind, my husband nor myself could fit our hands through that door. So he smushed himself somehow. And so we were like, okay, well, you know, after we watched that awesome example of reticulated python climbing, we were like, okay, this isn't going to be safe for anybody. So we took him out, put him back in his old enclosure. And now, when I'm holding Joanna and she wants to like explore or whatever and go crazy, I'll put her in Gatsby's tank and she just digs around, digs into substrate, runs all over, and she climbs in his water and goes swimming and all that stuff, and she loves it. So right now I'm sitting in here with Joanna, although she's being antisocial and is on the other side of the water bowl. But anyway, the whole reason I wanted to do this video today is because, you know, Savannah monitors do not make good pets. They make terrible pets. For most people. I have like friends or whatever, or family or whatever come over like, hey, oh, she's so cool, she's so sweet, she's so fun, like, she's so un-lizard-like, you know, she's like a scale dog or whatever. And like, I always tell these people, like, you don't want one, man. Like, you don't. They make awful pets, you know? And I'll have people sit there, like, try to argue with me. Like, no, I have this pet and this pet and this pet. Like, I can handle a Savannah monitor. And it's like, dude, you have a crested gecko. Calm down. You don't need a Savannah monitor. Get a snake first. You know? Like, they make terrible pets. They bite you, they're not going to let go. Like, do you know how to make them let go? No? You just want to get your hand ripped to shreds while you're just waiting and hoping that they'll let go of your hand? Because that's what's going to happen if you don't know what you're doing. Like, I like to say that Joanna is chiller than a tegu. right? Because she is. She'll sit there on my shoulder and on top of my head and just kick it and just watch TV and just fall asleep and just love life, like cuddling or whatever. But then, like, someone she doesn't know tries to touch her, and she, like, and has her little lizard hissy fit, you know, and, like, puffs up and, like, opens her mouth and flicks her tongue out and, like, tries to tail whip. And, like, that's a tame Savannah monitor with someone they don't know. You know, when we first got Joanna, when she first came into our rescue, getting her out of the enclosure that she was in from the people we got her from was a mission. Took like 45 minutes. And that was just me trying not to get bitten. For 45 minutes, I was trying not to get eaten by this little tiny Savannah monitor, you know? And eventually, the only way I could get her out was to throw a dish towel on top of her so she couldn't see me, you know? Kind of like what you do with alligators. And pick her up and carefully just put her in our little transfer bin and go from there, you know? But getting her back out of that was the exact same thing. And it went on for months. For months of her just, don't touch me! Don't look at me! Don't walk past me! You know? And, like, now she's great because I spend hours on hours a day with this lizard just trying to get her to not try to eat me, you know? And try to get her to be used to people. Like, she's chill with me, obviously. She'll sit there and sleep on my shoulder all day if I let her. She's chill with my daughter. She lets my daughter pet her and hold her and love on her, and she's fine. My husband comes home. My husband tries to touch her, and she, get away, you know? And that's just how they are. You know, if you don't spend hours on hours every day with these lizards, they make terrible pets. You know, technically they're venomous. You want to get bit by a venomous lizard? No, I don't either. They're not fun. And you know what? If one of my friends got bit, I would end up having to take care of my friend and, like, having to, like, oh, you're fine. Oh, it's okay. It's not, like, venom. Like, you're not going to die. Like, you're chilling. But I still don't want to do that. I don't want to have to take care of you because you didn't listen to me and thought Savannah monitors were great pets. They're terrible pets. Unless you know what you're doing. And you know what? These same people that I always give that spiel to, you know, like, don't get one. And then they argue, like, still don't get one, you know. They'll, like, well, I'll just do what you did. Like, she's so chill. I didn't do it the right way. When I first got her, like, I was relatively experienced with larger reptiles, you know. I had my reticulated python, and then I had a couple ball pythons and a bunch of lizards, right? And, like, I had done tons of research, but I didn't listen, you know. I definitely started handling her and got her used to it the wrong way. At first it was, I'd, like, go into, like, I'd reach my hand into her enclosure and I'd, like, kind of tire her out, you know, like what you do with, like, little wild lizards that you catch in your backyard, you know, and you want to hold them. You kind of, like, tire them out, and then they just kind of accept their fate that they're going to die, right? And, once she, like, started accepting her fate that I was going to kill her and eat her like a predator, I'd be able to pick her up and hold her, and she'd at me and try to eat me or whatever. And then, she would eat, like, I would reward her after she let me touch her or whatever, and, she was cool with it. You know, eventually she understood that, like, I'm not gonna hurt her, I'm not gonna eat her, and once I hold her, she gets fed. Win-win, right? Hashtag winning. And, I'm just kidding, I don't talk like that. But, now, it's gotten to the point where I've done that so much, you know, I just reach my hand in and I grab her and I hold her and I put her on my shoulder and she climbs onto my head and she just, like, looks at everything and, like, licks everything. You know, one time she looked inside my ear and it was the grossest thing ever. It felt so weird. But, now it's gotten to the point where she won't even take things off the tongs. She has a food dish. This lizard has a food dish. Tongs don't mean food anymore. Tongs are just things that make noise and are shiny. Now, her white little ramekin that I fill with food is her food dish, and that's how she eats. So she no longer associates being held with getting fed. which it's kind of nice. And I think that's why she's tamer than Tegu, like I say. But in no way is that the right way to do it. And, she's my only monitor. I've obviously never done it the right way because she's my only monitor. And that's how I did it, is I just kind of, boop, lizard, And everyone that I talk to, that I tell that story to, is like, well, I could do that just like you did. And it's like, yeah, but it was a miracle I didn't get bit. Like, technically they're venomous, but it's a mild venom. It's like a hognose venom. But their bite force is incredible. And they don't let go. They just, like, and then they, like, death roll and, like, rip you to shreds. You don't want to take that chance. Unless you really know what you're doing. Even if you don't necessarily 100% know what you're doing. But if you've done enough research to where you know how to care for these animals and stuff like that. But it's mostly if you have the time. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a disabled veteran. I have 2 kids and a bunch of reptiles, and that's my life. I got time. I got plenty of time to work with this little lizard and make sure she stays docile and make sure I can still hold her and make sure I can, like, still, like, cuddle her and stuff. Not a lot of people are lucky enough to have the time that I do. Not a lot of people can sit here and spend hours on hours with a lizard that's not even going to live long. Because, oh man, she just pooped all over the place. And I'm in an enclosed space with it, and it stinks really bad. But anyway, I digress. Lost my train of thought. But here we go. I think I found it. We're good. If you're not lucky enough to spend time with these animals and, like, make sure they know you're not going to hurt them, make sure other people know that, or make sure they know that other people aren't going to hurt them, they're not going to make a good pet. If you spend half an hour with them a day, that's not good enough. Nope. They'll know who you are, and they'll probably be cool with you, but that's just with you. And having an animal that only likes one person, in my opinion, that's not really a tamed animal. You got lucky. You gotta spend hours with these things to make sure that they know people in general, or at least people that you're gonna let interact with them, aren't really a threat. And you just gotta be careful, And like I said, most people just don't have that time. And so for most people, they don't make good pets. So please, don't hound your friends who have Savannah monitors like, I want one. If your friend tells you you're not ready, or you're not capable, or you don't have the experience, or you don't have the time for a Savannah monitor, take them at their word, because they know more than you do. If you don't have one and you want one, talk to someone with one. And go from there. I guess the whole point of this video was just me kind of ranting, because I've had like 30 people in the last like 2 or 3 months tell me how bad they want a Savannah monitor because Joanna's so cool. No, she's cool because I made her cool. I forced that. I did. I did it wrong. I did it the wrong way, and I forced her. I forced her to be cool with people. Which I wish I had taken more time and done it the right way. But at the same time, I don't really have any regrets, because I can kiss her on her face and stick her on top of my head and she just kicks it. Watches TV. Like, every day we have a routine. I wake up with my son at probably 6-ish. And then, feed him breakfast and put on Monsters, Inc. or Winnie the Pooh or whatever he wants to watch that day. And he'll just kick it and watch his movie. And Joanna and I will kick it and watch The Crocodile Hunter, right? Or something similar. And that's just the beginning of our interaction. We'll sit there and watch an hour-long Crocodile Hunter episode of me just, like, scratching her head, and, like, petting her and, like, kissing her face. And, which, by the way, that's not healthy, because they can carry salmonella and they can carry all kinds of ick on their body. So don't do that. I can't help myself. But they take a lot of time. If you don't have the time, they're not good pets. They're not. If you don't have the space, they're not good pets. They're not. Her enclosure here is probably maybe 4 feet long, 2 feet like wide, and then probably, I don't know, 3 feet tall, which is, it's small. That's small for a Savannah monitor. She's only, maybe 2 feet long. It's probably closer to like 1.5 feet. But her enclosure is too small for her. Right now we are smack dab in the middle of making her outdoor enclosure, which I'll show you guys in an upcoming video. But she's only in there when she sleeps. She's only in there at bedtime. Other than that, she's wrecking havoc in the bathroom. She's tearing up Gatsby's enclosure. She's tearing up our spare bathroom. You have to have not only the time, but you have to have enough space in your house to where you can close off an entire room and just kind of let them do them, without getting disturbed. Because you don't want a 2-year-old walking in there like, oh, look at this lizard, I'm gonna touch it, and then have your 2-year-old get bit. Never happened to me, but I assume that's a thing. Just if you don't have the time, if you don't have the space, they make terrible pets. And that's the ultimate goal of me putting out this message and this huge rant. If you don't have time, if you don't have space, if people with Savannah monitors tell you not to get a Savannah monitor, don't get one, because you're going to kill it. You're going to kill it. You're going to kill it, or it's going to be super aggressive and you're going to have to find a rescue for it. And trust me when I tell you, people rescuing these things are angels. Like, man, to be like, yeah, I'll take your aggressive Savannah monitor, or yeah, I'll take your huge lizard, like, that's hard to find, so just do your research and listen to other people and their experiences and take it to heart and just think before you do these dumb things. In no way am I saying that if you're experienced and you know what you're doing and you have the space and you have the time, Savannah monitor could be great for you. But for most people, they're terrible. Most people don't have enough space. Most people don't have enough time. Most people don't have enough of anything. Most people don't have enough snails. You know how expensive snails are? They eat invertebrates. I get 3 little Zoo Med cans of, I think it's 12 ounces or something like that, of snails for $20. For $20! And that feeds her for 4 days. It's no joke. And their hotspot runs crazy electricity. I probably spend $200 a month on electricity for this lizard. But if you know what you're doing, if you've done copious amounts of research, and if you never stop researching and you never stop learning, and you have the space and the time and the food and the resources and all of that, they're wonderful. I'm lucky enough in my life to where I have the time. I have the space, I have, the resources, I have the food, I have all of that. And I'm lucky enough to be able to say, she's great. She is great for me. She is a great pet in my household. But at the same time, I don't know anyone else in my life who would be good for a Savannah monitor. None of my friends, none of my family, nobody would be able to handle this type of lizard. Maybe Joanna now, the way she is, because, I've manhandled her so much into submission, but for most people, not a good pet. If you want one, do your research, reach out to people who have had one. Clint's Wreptiles has a really good video out on Savannah monitors as pets. And if you're considering, I highly recommend you watch it, because you gotta think some things out before you get a Savannah monitor. If you want one, do your research and then don't get one for 3 years, and keep doing your research for those 3 years. And use those 3 years to build an enclosure, and use those 3 years to build up food stores, and, just take 3 years of really thinking if you want this type of lizard. And then if you're able to come up with the money to supplement the lighting and the heat and the food and everything else, and if you're able to come up with the time, then they're great. But as I've said 8,000 times in this video, probably not. For most people, probably not. Probably not a good idea, you know. But then again, if a Savannah monitor is good for you, you don't need me to tell you all that because you already know. And if a Savannah monitor is a good pet for you, you probably are ready to have one, and you already know, and you already have all of these things in place, and you've already thought all of these things through, and you've wanted one for a really long time, and you have a lot of experience, and everything that I'm saying is just garbage. So if anything that I am saying to you makes you say, huh, or, oh, I didn't think of that, they're not a good pet for you. But if you're like, yeah, I know, yeah, I have jillions of snails, and I have money to throw away because of a light, you know, then you don't need this video. But if you're watching this video, you're watching it for a reason, and you probably shouldn't have one. Hi. So that's my spiel. You guys want to say hi to Joanna if I can get her out? She's kind of being a butthead right now about the water dish. She just kind of wants to hide behind it in her poop because she's a butthole. Okay, you don't get to say bye to Joanna. But that's my video. That's my rant. Please take it to heart because, you know, to me, these animals have a special place. And she definitely holds a special place in my heart. And, you know, she led me to love all monitors. And monitor lizards are probably my favorite reptile species ever. They are fascinating. And because of that, I highly recommend before you take on something like any type of monitor lizard, you need to do your research and you need to make sure you're ready. I guess I've just repeated myself for 20 minutes, so just take it to heart and think before you do things. Bye.